What's going on, Gemini? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having an amazing week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just amazing, Gemini, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. So Gemini, it's your general energy weekly spread. I was just telling Aries, I don't really have a rhyme or reason for these intros, so just settle in there. But this is just a general energy weekly spread. So whenever you happen to come across this message, Gemini, or this video, Gemini, there may be messages here for you. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. Just great energy all around here, Gemini. So Gemini, with this spread, just going to be going with the flow. I'm going to be pulling a few oracle cards, and then we'll get some tarot cards to get some details on these energies. But before we jump in, these readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations, okay? And then the decks that I'm working with, I've included links for them down in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you're curious there, Gemini. But let's get into your first card. Interesting. So you got the 8th card of Libras here, which is the Blinders card. And this is a card of victim mentality, confusion, tunnel vision, resist clarity, confirmation bias, restrictions, narrow focus, echo chamber, denial, oblivious, out of touch, hyper focus, and concentration. In Gemini, we want to be careful with this energy. It's like we want to kind of be focused on this last couple here, you know, the hyper focus, the concentration. I feel like we want to be more focused on things that are going to raise our vibrations than things that are going to, because here's the thing with this card, you know, when we start getting to this place of, I'm just feeling like the victim mentality, the resist clarity. If we've just been feeling like things have been going against us, that there's been a lot of restrictions, we're not sure what's been going down, then I feel like that this is a time for you to just kind of pause for a second, Gemini, if that's something that's been going down, and just kind of sit with that. Let's figure out, let's get a focus on what's causing this. Is it like people that we're hanging around? Is this a situation, maybe like a work situation that we're in? Maybe it's just like, is this like a family thing, a friend thing? Whatever this is, let's get down to the cause of it. Because if we stay in this place of like kind of like tunnel vision and in that aspect of like, you know, everything is going against me, all of that stuff that's lowering our vibration, then we're just going to stay in this place of confusion, Gemini. And I know it sounds like a no-brainer, but sometimes how we can get stuck in and resist the clarity and get stuck in these things, it can be tricky sometimes. And it's not that I feel like it's like we're oblivious to this thing. It's just that like maybe it's just something I feel like we may not have eyes on yet. So let's just take a moment and pause and really think about this stuff, if that's something that's resonating with you. But I do feel like that this is a time to really get something to kind of focus on, Gemini. Thinking about these last couple the hyper focus and the concentration. What a great way to get yourself out of some mental fog than to focus on some ways that, you know, focus on you. Like that's an easy one. Think about some ways that you want to raise your vibration, you know, whether that's maybe making if we've been feeling stressed out, maybe making more times to get outside or do some reading, listen to some calm music, you know, or even just carving 10 minutes of silence, you know, just something, you know, when we focus on things like that, then that helps us get out of this funk, you know, if we, you know, it gets us to a place where we get out of this victim mode and we become the heroes. You know, we become the ones that get us out, you know. Well, let's get some energies on this, Gemini, and you get some further clarity on this. right, Gemini, let's see what we have here. Interesting. Okay. So you got the Seven of Wands and the Two of Wands upright, and then we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse here. In Gemini, you know, just thinking with like that echo chamber, we don't want to get to in a place where, because I feel like maybe for some of you, you know, just thinking about how social of a sign you can be, maybe this is something where if we've been feeling kind of down, confused, maybe a little stressed, just kind of like, you know, this might be from the stuff that we might be consuming. You know, whether this is news, you know, whether this be other people. We just want to be mindful of, you know, if people are shouting doom and gloom and there's no abundance and things are falling apart, if we start echoing that thing, then there aren't going to be any resources, and that's what's going to manifest, because the universe kind of takes you at your word there, Gemini. And if we keep living in that space, we're going to it's going to perpetuate the problem. And so we want to focus on some healing. You know, we want to speak abundant things to ourselves. We want to figure out what areas that we can, how do I want to put this? We want to figure out what areas do we want to grow and expand, and then put in that work, Gemini. Get a game plan with this Two of Wands here, and figure out how we can get out of this victim mentality, this tunnel vision, how we can kind of broaden up our view, see the opportunities, especially if that's something too, because maybe we've been, you know, just whatever this is, you know, this like, you know, just making sure that we come up with a game plan and don't get into a place where we, you know, where confusion and things like stagnate you, you know, and protect your energies. When I'm thinking with the Seven of Wands, from different opinions, you know, and things that lower your vibration, you know, instead of, I find that if there is, okay, let's say, okay, you know, doom and gloom all over the place, instead of focusing on that, what are we going to do about it? I feel like that's where we want our energies to be going. We just don't want to keep the vibration low. It's obvious, you know, that's just like saying there's a forest fire and we're just all standing around to complaining about the fire. Let's put this fire out here. And I know it's a bit extreme, but let's put this fire out. Let's not just focus on just like that part aspect of it. Let's focus on some results and start really broadening out there. That is how Queen of Pentacles gets to work. You know, she looks for solutions. She's not looking for blame or anything along those lines. This is just, if anything, she's like any sort of adversity or anything, she welcomes that. It's just like, oh, dope, I'm about to grow. Heck yeah, she's jumping on that horse. Let's go ahead and get this thing done. So, you know, just protect your energies from any sort of outside things, whether that be, you know, news, podcast, YouTube, whatever. And be mindful of the energies that you're telling yourself, Gemini, because, you know, air signs, you know, all of our thoughts are powerful, but air signs, you know, your thoughts, that's how you manifest, you know, like air energies, you got to be careful with that. You know, your thoughts become things, and be mindful. Alrighty. Be telling yourself, Queen of Pentacles. And you know what, Gemini? If this is something where people around us have been kind of shouting doom and gloom, and that's been like the echoes in your chamber, be the voice that changes that. Let's get some of these people out of a funk, because Queen of Pentacles too, she's a healer. And she helps provide people with the resources. It's just like, yo, you've been feeling this way. This is what I've been doing. This is how I took action. How can we make that work for you? Let's get a game plan. You know, let's figure this stuff out. Maybe you start a course. Venus is in your sign, Gemini, at least through the 6th of May. This could be something. You could turn this into resources, you know, get some ideas, help people take these blinders off. So don't sleep on that. We're in an innovative time. All right, Queen of Pentacles, let's get some more on this. I like that. All right, Gemini, what's we got? Interesting. Okay, so we got the 5th card of Virgos here, which is the headache card. And this is a card of poor health, dis-ease, illness, unpleasant, crisis, emergency, body signal, needing self-care, problem, root cause, annoying, disagreeable, something's off, pain, and underlying conditions. And you know what, Gemini, we should be thinking about our health in general, just like always. But I feel that really, on top of that, just like, doing like whatever, what I want to spit out at you, preventative maintenance, I feel like is going to be the name of the game. When we're thinking about taking care of our health and things, we don't want to start doing stuff, like usually how things work, it's like, oh, I have a headache, let me take this, as opposed to doing things to stay on top of that. Maybe not medical advice, but you'll see me drinking a lot of teas. Not that I'm one that gets like headaches and things, but I drink a lot of, like, if I'm not drinking like 102, or it's like sea moss, I'm drinking like chamomile. It's like a blend that I have, but chamomile is one of the main ones in there. And it's like staying on top of this stuff now, making it a point to not cure the disease or dis-ease or anything like that when they come up. It's staying on top of that. I feel like that because your ruler, Mercury, is going to be retrograding in all of the earth signs this year. And when you think of earth energy, that deals with like, just like when I'm thinking in like tarot, Queen of Pentacles, that deals with, yes, our finances, and it's a great time to be thinking about our finances, our security, but the Pentacles can deal with our health as well. And this gets into things of like moving the body, listening to any signals. Are we feeling stiff? Have we been having headaches? Have you been getting enough rest? Are you staying hydrated? What kind of food are we eating? Just like, have we been making time to get in some work and some healthy things, some whole, all of these questions. And listen, Gemini, I get with like, doing all these things. It can seem like a lot at first, a little tedious, working, doing all these little things, all that stuff. But I'll tell you what's more tedious: taking care of a sick body. Taking care of a body that's full of disease, that's not being able to operate. Like, it's annoying when the body is not doing what it can do. And so, in order to keep that moving, we got to work out any sort of disagreeable things. Pay attention, really, Gemini, pay attention to your body. What is it telling you? And if something feels unpleasant, from food to activities to smells to Taurus season, while we're in this energy, depending on when you're watching this, while we're in Taurus season, Taurus is very much about the senses, in like your five senses, tuning into all of that stuff. Are we a lot of loud? Gemini, I could do the rest of this reading off this card, but let's get some tarot on this. But that's going to be really just really, and that's not to get me to like scare you and anything. It's just really to start thinking about that stuff in general. And when you think of Virgo energy, Virgos are very much about they share a ruler with you. Mercury rules both you and Virgo. When you think about Virgo energy, they're very much focused on their health, and they're about routines and amongst other things. But when we make our health a routine, make ourselves a routine, things are harmonious, Gemini. We can celebrate. We operate from just a happier place. You know what I mean? And when we take care of the body, that keeps it so that we can still. It keeps our mind fresh so that we can create, so that we can work on areas where if we haven't been feeling like resourceful or anything, that's how we protect our energies with the Seven of Wands. But I really feel that this is something, Gemini, even when I'm thinking about this self-care and all of this, yes, it can seem tedious, but even thinking with the Page of Swords, we can make this a fun thing. Maybe this is something where if we want to make it a thing to get outside more, maybe calling up some friends, maybe seeing if they want to make that a part of their routine, or maybe if you want to like get in touch with the community, maybe talk with a neighbor, talk with whatever, start something, and then look at that, you're starting a whole movement. Gemini, movement. Literally, we're all moving the body, Gemini. And yours is an active sign, you know, don't sleep on that. You know, you have like being youthful energy, you know, Gemini deals with like early childhood, you know, like early learning as well. So you have all this vitality in you, Gemini, but we got to make sure that that air is moving, you know, that we're getting outside, that we're taking care of this stuff, that you're staying on top of our health and all of that, you know. Don't ignore the body signals, you know. If we notice just any sort of things, pay attention to that stuff, because all that, if we keep, you know, if we keep the blinders on, then that's just going to just keep the confusion going, the weirdness, and then we're not sure where you get so much, especially if we're not paying attention to our health, that mind, body, spirit connection. It gets to where the more you ignore this, the harder it is to find the root cause of the issues. So just keep eyes on that type of stuff, Gemini. More? Alrighty, I like that. You know what, now that we're talking about this, have we hydrated? And listen, Gemini, I'm a big fan of, and again, not medical advice, but I'm a big fan of tea. You know, that's a really good, just like some loose leaf stuff, you know. You can get like this stuff, like you can get a whole bunch of sites, you know. One of my favorite ones I order off of Mountain Rose Herbs, and they give you can get big bulk stuff, and that you would think that it like it might be expensive, but when you think about how long it'll last you, you know, a bag of, I buy stuff by the pound usually. I've had this thing of chamomile for like at least 6 months, and I'm barely halfway through it. So it's like, it's one of those things, it pays off in the long run, because you work on this stuff too. That saves you from like medical bills and things. Because I feel like when we go to doctors and professionals or things, we want to go to them when our preventative care isn't enough, when things have gone so far south that we need assistance. You know, that's where I feel like it's become the opposite way. You know what I mean, Gemini? I feel like it's time to shift that balance back. But let's get now we're just dishing. We could talk about that another time, Gemini. But let's get your last oracle card here. Yeah, that's one, if you can't tell, that's an area that I'm kind of passionate about. And you know what? Funny enough, I'm raised by a Gemini, so this stuff was instilled in me. So it's like, it's one of those things. I know, Gemini, you can do it. You can't tell me you can't. I've seen a Gemini talk about someone who puts their health on point, whose health's on point. Gemini, I see you. Let's see what else we got. Gemini, I can't make this up. You got the 6th card of Capricorns, which is the bodybuilder card. We're getting fit. We're getting healthy. I love this. The bodybuilder card. This is a card of power, strength, forceful, determined, discipline, vigor, domination, push forward, influence, leverage, mastery, resolve, intense, resistance, self-improvement, and exercise. And that's all we've been talking about, Gemini. Self-improvement, exercise, doing nice things for the body. Like, you don't need to hear me go through that all again. And listen, Gemini, when I'm talking about all of this stuff, I'm not saying you need to go out there and become a next bodybuilder or next marathon runner, things along those lines. We just want to make sure that you're mobile, you know, think about your posture. How have you been sitting? You know, just little things like that. If you sit at a keyboard a lot, are we doing like wrist stretches, you know, to keep from getting like carpal tunnel, get tight, so any kind of tightness? Do you just sit down in general? You know, how often are we making it a habit to get up? If you work from home, do you know, maybe we think about investing, we have just like a regular desk, maybe getting a stand-up desk. Any little things, any little improvements, those little tweaks are going to help you in the long run. And then when you make them a routine, they're not as tedious or arduous or anything along those lines. But really, Gemini, it's Capricorn energy. Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn. Let's figure out how we can make this stuff happen. I like think Queen of Corn. Oh, Queen of Corn. Queen of Pentacles, but I'll call it Queen of Capricorn. Queen of Pentacles, I don't even know what I was about to say about her. Let's just, Gemini, let's get your energy here. Because this is sick. So really, make it a point this year, just with all these retrograde times, during all of them, just considering where all this is happening, I really feel like, and I haven't done Virgos yet, so I'm curious to see what kind of energy Virgos comes up with, but yeah, just really take this time and reflect. You know, the retrogrades are for that anyway. So if you've been just thinking about, you know, if there's anything that you can kind of push forward, level up, let's do that. Absolutely. Because that's going to increase your vigor. It just increases, yes. Look at all this queens here. It'll get you where you're feeling well. Because let me tell you something. When we're feeling like we're in a funk, one of the first things that I find goes is that like working out, like moving the body. We just want to say, especially when we're feeling like our emotions are just on, like kind of when we're just in our emotions, you know, that we don't want to move. We just kind of want to wallow and steep and be. But water can't be stagnant. Let me tell you, this is Cancer energy. My son's in Cancer. And let me tell you what happens when you just sit in that energy all the time. The water just gets, it's like if you have a water in a bucket. If it's not moving, it's just going to accumulate a bunch of gunk. And then it gets gross. And then that's it. It's just going to continue. But if one really good way, when we do get in a funk, Gemini, when we get in our emotions, I feel like the first thing that that would really benefit us is moving the body, getting out of working these energies through, processing this, being present with that. And when you notice that thing, yeah, start moving the stuff. This is great energy here, Gemini, for you talk about some self-care this really year, like, and make that a point, just because like really just all these retrograde times. And you know what, use each retrograde. The next one will be in Virgo. So that's what we started in Taurus. So next time we'll check in, we'll be in like about late August. So use that as a check-in point. See where you're at. See where are we feeling good? How are our emotions doing? And if not, what areas can we tweak and make adjustments here? But let's just not sit where we're just like where the water's not moving, where we're not doing any sort of growth. The trees aren't growing. Or let's see what else we have. Yeah, you talk about, this has got to be the most like aggressive way I've seen like Empress energy come out here. And you know what? Absolutely more. Okay, so we got the 8 of Cups here, Gemini. And with the 8 of Cups, this is about letting things go. Eclipse energy. You know, usually in the 8 of Cups, there's an eclipse that's happening back here. And with that eclipse energy, it's about letting stuff go, coming into your highest vibration. So what things can we let go, Gemini? And then what new stuff what better habits can we work in? This is great energy for that. And that's where I feel like, granted this is for the week, but think about this, Gemini. This can be, I feel like this is definitely longer, and just be thinking about this stuff, and this is not something where it's like, you don't need to tackle all of this stuff right now, but it's just getting a game plan and just like what makes sense to start first, and then getting that ball rolling. Do we want to get more, how's our rest looking? If we want to just start getting more sleep, okay, let's start there. And then like, oh, I feel rested, I have more energy, let's start moving the body. Perfect. And now I'm thinking about my app. It's beautiful how it lines up. Let's see what else we have. And you know what? Because here's another thing. I was just thinking, if we are parents, because you got Capricorn and Cancer, mother and father of the zodiac. If we have little ones, I get it where that can be kind of hard working around their schedules and things. We can make this a family activity, Gemini. We can make this thing where it's just like, hey, and what great great thing to get your little ones in the habit now of working in some higher vibrations for, behaviors for them right now, getting them used to moving the body. What better way? They have all that energy. Help them expend some of that energy and help you moving some of that energy so you can keep up with them, Gemini? This is some things to think about. I have a lot. If you can't tell, I have a lot of thoughts about this. More. All right, Gemini. Let's see. That's the last card here. Love it. All right, we got the love that. You almost all we're missing is the king here. And look at that, your whole hold on, Gemini. Let's switch back over. Cause look, your family's big brother heard you was talking about this thing, and he's got some feelings about it. But with this Knight of Cups, Gemini, I really feel like that it's this Knight of Cups is asking you to listen, not. Because it's not like I'm saying you don't do kind things for your body, Gemini. It's doing more. And I know, like, and like, hear me out. Like for me, for example, like one thing that I've been thinking about, like if like working on, it's just like, you know, like my been making more time to just like get outside and walking, you know, like there was a time like when I was really first getting into this and like started doing the recordings, I was like a hermit, you know, I was just like all up in the energy, which that was cool. You know, sometimes when I'd have like a tougher day, it's just like, what is going on? And you know, it's just something as simple as just like, I already work out, but it's just like getting outside more, you know, that was like a big thing that I had been thinking about. And it's like when we do more loving things like that, it just it compounds, and then it just like, I just really, Gemini, just like really just thinking with like that body signal and underlying conditions, just like really listen to your body. And if just something doesn't feel right, you know, or that you just, there's an area that you feel you want to grow in or anything along those lines, improve, let's focus on that, you know. And this could even be, because even something else that I was thinking about, you know, is like just even thinking with that, this doesn't just have to be physical stuff, you know. Maybe this is something where, because I've been thinking about like, so where my moon sign falls, my Gemini moon, it's on like the 0 degree. I'm like 15 minutes maybe into the Gemini sign. And so my energy, it's very youthful. It's like all over the place. I mean, you see how I do some of these readings sometimes. And big thing was been like focus, and how does that look like? What in granted still working on it, but what does that look like? And these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, Gemini. What does that look like? You know, how do we discipline ourselves to follow these things? And that's even the bigger one. It's not even just knowing, it's the discipline to follow through with it, because you're represented by the King of Swords, and the King of Swords is wisdom. And in order to get that wisdom, Gemini, we have to put these things that we know and get eyes on into practice. So, all right, I think I'm going to leave that there, Gemini. I dig that. Very active energy. So, you know, give that a thumbs up. Let's get Geminis moving. Let's get them, you know, thinking, get this message around. And you know what? Share this. If you know someone who's maybe been feeling like they've been sort of stuck, or been, you know, have been feeling in disease or something along those lines. Let's share this. Let's get Geminis back there active and curious and growing again. I'm with it. And then subscribe, hit that bell button. You get notified when I release videos each week. And then I'm on this meditation app, Insight Timer. I've been on it for years, and I created this group called, and maybe that's something you want to work on, maybe more time for meditation. And what better app to do? It's a free app. And there's a group that you can join called Zodiacs Raising the Vibration. And it's a group where I drop positive affirmations like every day. And it's just like drop positive affirmations, encouraging messages, anything along those lines to just raise that vibration. And then as the group grows, you know, I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to do with the Queen of Cups. I think we're going to do like Void of Course with the High Priestess. I got some things with the Empress, like just like doing like different meditation groups, and it'll be a fun old time. But all that stuff's in the description box. And then lastly, I mean, you got a hot ticket for Cancer, for coming over to my other channel, the Chariot and Friends. This is Cancer's card, like I was saying. But if you have any Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, I don't know, Venus, wherever, come on over to the Chariot and Friends. I do videos Monday through Friday. We discuss lunar shenanigans, geek out over the Queen of Cups, and all that housekeeping down in the description box below. But let me get your surprise card here, Gemini, so I can get you out of here. I love it. Absolutely. Because Gemini, you got the Ace of Swords here. And I like that, because it's like what we were just talking about with that wisdom. Now that we've gotten eyes on this thing, you know, when we take this time and figure out just if there are any areas that are in disease or anything, what are we going to do with that knowledge? You know, how are we going to take action? Because that's going to be, I really feel like the big thing coming for, you know, going for you just really over this year, just with the Mercury retrogrades, you know. But it's going to be a time. Don't let that be where it's just like, oh, I got to put all this work. It's like, oh no, it's going to be, oh my gosh, look at all this improvement that's been going down here. That's how you're going to feel, because eventually this is going to become second nature to you, Gemini. So in the meantime, absolutely, you got the Adorn card here, and you know, I feel like with this Adorn card, you know how this think of this energy here, this opportunity here. This is you. You're a blank canvas here. You know, like, how do you want to invest? You know, what do we want to keep on this mask of? I don't know if this is actually what this mask is for. Do we want to keep on a mask of this ease of blinders, confusion, or do we want to put on a mask of self-improvement, you know, and healing and all of that? So just something to think about, Gemini. This is really a great defining time for you to see, you know, just how do you want to improve in whatever area of your life. So, all right, I'm leaving that there. I'm with it. So you stay safe out there, Gemini. And you raise your vibration through the roof, because that's what this energy is about here, Gemini. Self-care, self-growth. I'm with it. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.